Hello YouTube, this is Rudy again. I know in the last video I made a mention of Atlas Shrugged and Ayn Rand, and I have a huge admiration for Ayn Rand. She wrote many books besides Atlas Shrugged. She wrote The Fountainhead, We the Living, Anthem. I like every one of them. Every time I come across a book Ayn Rand wrote, I enjoy the heck out of it. So I recommend, if you get a chance, check out Atlas Shrugged. It's an incredible book. But this video is going to be about dirty bankers. It could also be called Dirty Bankers and Dirty Politicians. It's another good book. It's not by Ayn Rand. It's by a guy named Edward Griffin. I don't know if you guys can see this book or not, but the title of the book is The Creature from Jekyll Island. It was first written in 1994, I believe, and since then it's been updated quite a bit. Looks like it's had several reprintings, but the first one looks like 1994. This book is an incredible history of the banking system in the United States. You know, I sometimes wonder, like, you know, we got archaeologists and people digging around in dinosaur pits and trying to learn what the species were like hundreds of millions of years ago, but we can't even learn or retain a lesson that our forefathers shed blood over just one generation ago. So I would ask that if you get a chance, read The Creature from Jekyll Island, understand what Andrew Jackson fought for, why he fought tooth and nail the banking system, and I would ask that you do that. It's a great book. It gives a lot of good understanding to the history of this country. You know, the creature that it refers to is the two heads of one of the politicians and the others is the bankers, and you got to understand that they both feed off each other and they both need each other. There are very few politicians who will speak up and tell you the truth. If they do, it seems like they don't do so for very long. One of the very few who I have a huge admiration for is Ron Paul. But he can't do it all by himself. We got to get up and provide him some help. If you know, whatever we have to do, we have to get up and be more active in the system. And Ron Paul's not going to be able to do it all. We got to get up and help. We got to spread the word, and we got to talk about the Federal Reserve. We got to talk about our fiat currency. We got to talk about the fact that our money's not backed by anything. It's been taken over by a group of international bankers who are not aligned with the interest of the United States. So I would ask that if you get a chance to check out this book and give it a full read on my website, which I'll post on here as well. And again, I'm not selling anything. I'm only doing this because I want to take a more active role in my community and my country. And I have a section called Dirty Bankers, and it goes into quite a bit of quotes. But I would like to read a quote from Andrew Jackson, and I think it would be very useful. But, you know, we let these politicians, these corrupt politicians who give into lobbyist group, they're not doing what's best for, you know, the country. They're doing what's best to line their own pockets. And the international bankers have a hidden agenda of socialism. They want to infringe upon our rights. They want to make us obedient workers. I mean, I don't know if you saw the YouTube video, George Carlin nails it, and I think he's gone on to the hereafter, and you know, God bless George Carlin. I think he spoke the truth at times. I didn't listen to the man as far as everything he said. I'm sure, but on that particular video, if you go to the YouTube and type in George Carlin nails it, I mean, he really does an awesome job, and hopefully they haven't taken it off YouTube. At one point they had it off, and I saw it back on again, and it seems like anytime somebody speaks the truth, they don't stick around very long. But we got to get the truth out there that, you know, our economy is collapsing. They're raping and pillaging the wealth of this country. Our 401ks have diminished greatly. You know, they have control of the money supply, and if you do that, you're never going to be able to recover from that. We got to get control of our money supply back in the hands of the people. And back in, you know, you think of the Federal Reserve, that's not even a federal entity. Most people think the Federal Reserve is part of the government. It's not part of the government. It cannot even be audited. We need to abolish the Federal Reserve. They were created in 1913, and it's been downhill ever since. We need to get our currency back by gold and silver again, and some people say that will never happen in the United States. And you need to understand what's happened in Argentina. If you get a chance, go to YouTube and type in the Argentina economic collapse, and that'll give you some great insight into what happened there and is coming to this country. And you know, for people that say, you know, we're a world superpower, that will never happen here, I would ask that you think very, very careful before you say that. You know, things that you may not imagine can happen in America after what we call a black swan event. 9/11 was a black swan event. Things will happen in our society. There may be some so-called lunatic with a gun. There's events that can happen that we cannot predict. Martial law will be declared, and things will happen in this country that you cannot begin to imagine that will happen now, but will eventually happen. And I hope to God it doesn't. I hope to God that I'm just being too overly concerned. But when it comes to the protection of my right of free speech, the country I grew up in, you could say anything you wanted. Even the most uneducated belligerent among us could get up. And I don't know if you guys remember, there was a guy, Morton Downey Jr. I didn't like the guy at all, but he got up and he was loudmouth. He said a bunch of crazy stuff, and that you could say that in America without any fear of retribution. You could talk at your work, you could talk at the marketplace, you could talk wherever, and you could say anything on your mind. And that's what America was about. It's about free speech, and I want to preserve that. I want the ability to continue to say what's on our mind without fear from our government. And I want to continue to bear arms, and I want to continue to be a freedom-loving guy, and I want this to be a freedom-loving country. And I'm going to help do my best to raise consciousness. But it looks like I'm running out of time. Let me read real quick some quotes from Andrew Jackson, and let's get that in. This is a quote from Andrew Jackson, the 7th President of the United States of America. He's on the $20 bill, in case you didn't know that. Is there no danger to our liberty and independence in a bank that in its nature has so little to bind it to our country? We're talking the Federal Reserve. You think the Federal Reserve is aligned with the interests of the United States? That's not right. That's absurd to think that. Is there not cause to tremble for the purity of our elections in peace and for the independence of our country in war? Of the course which would be pursued by a bank almost wholly owned by the subjects of a foreign power and managed by those interests. If not, affections would run in the same direction, there can be no doubt, controlling our currency, receiving our public monies, and holding thousands of our citizens in dependence, which means we are dependent upon them because they control our currency and they control our debt. It would be more formidable and more dangerous than a navy and military power for the enemy to have. So think about that. What Andrew Jackson is saying is that these bankers are more dangerous to our country than a foreign naval and military power. That's a very powerful statement that we have to consider here. Jackson saved his greatest passion of his argument for the ends. One of Jackson's most powerful attributes as a president was he appealed to the people of the United States. They knew, the people were educated, they knew what was going on. And what Jackson went on to say, it is to be regretted that the rich and powerful too often bend the acts of government to their selfish purposes. The rich and powerful bending the government regulations to serve themselves? Wow, that's a new concept. No, I don't think so. It's going on right here today. It's been going on in this country way too long. Distinctions in society will always exist under every just government. Equality of talents, of education, or of wealth cannot be produced by human institutions. Governments cannot make us all the same. Heaven rains down upon us certain attributes. Some of us are artists. Some of us are beautiful speakers. Some of us can work from sun up till sundown. Some of us have attributes that are just wonderful. Heaven rains down those attributes. What it's saying is the government cannot make us all equal, right? Looks like I'm running out of time. Let me finish this up. Equality of talents, of education, or of wealth cannot be produced by human institutions. In the full enjoyment, the gifts of heaven and the fruits of superior industry, economy, and virtue, every man is entitled to protection by law. But when the laws undertake to add to these natural and just advantages, artificial distinctions, to grant titles, gratuities, and exclusive privileges, to make the rich richer, the potent more powerful, the humbler members of society, the farmers, the mechanics, the laborers, who have neither the time nor the means of securing like favors from government to themselves, they have a right to complain of the injustice to their government. There are no necessary evils in government. Its evils exist only in its abuses. If it would confine itself to equal protection as heaven does its rains, shower its favor alike on the high and low, the rich and the poor, it would be an unqualified blessing. In the act before me, there seems to be a wide and unnecessary departure from these principles. So what it's saying is, we cannot let the rich and the powerful continue to manipulate government to better and line their own pockets and their own greedy, corrupt, desires. We've got to take care of this country to make sure that it goes back to its roots, so that the average American can be protected under the law. So anyway, hopefully I make my point here, and that's about it. I ran out of time long ago. Thank you.